live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Smokin Tobacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tobacco Show. I am Matt Tobacco from SmokinTobacco.com, and I'm joined with the beautiful Mrs. Tobacco, Nicole Tobacco, Smokin Nicole. She's here with us once again. Got another show for you tonight. I don't think he's muted, by the way.
Oh.
We might have to do that real quick.
That's okay.
While we do our little intro here.
That's fine.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you. We have a guest here, but we're changing up a little flow of the show a little bit. And so we're not going to bring them on right away. We have a couple of things we have to announce. So I'm enjoying my coffee here, which Nicole made. In our house, we really enjoy Nespresso. So there's our shameless plug for Nespresso.
We do love Nespresso.
I mean, it's really Nicole's thing. I still like to do my drip coffee. And Nicole does her Nespresso. But from time to time, I mean, she gets a couple of good pods that are pretty good. So coffee was definitely warranted. So this is a nice, what is this, chocolate fudge? What did you do?
You have chocolate fudge, and I have pumpkin spice.
This is really delicious.
Because I'm pretty basic, so.
This is good. I'm not gonna lie. It's better than my coffee, but that's neither here nor there. One of the things that we wanted to talk about before we get going is I'm gonna pull it up right here. I have a couple of things here from our friends at J.C. Newman. It is officially Oktoberfest, or as they call it, J.C. Newman Bricktoberfest. These awesome boots, these glass boot, that are out there.
And they upped their game from last year. Last year,
those are way nicer.
The brick house symbol on the front with like 2022. This year, it has like a full color on the front of the boot.
I didn't even open this yet. I wanted to save it for the show for dramatic effect.
So,
these are the 2022 Brick House cigars.
Yes, I'm excited to try those.
And there they are. Ta-da!
Boom.
These just arrived today. So they are also holding a social media contest. There's the box right there, so you guys can see it. It's a 10-count box. Bricktoberfest 2022, the 5th anniversary, handmade in Nicaragua. J.C. Newman has also announced a social media contest to coincide with Bricktoberfest. When you participate on social media, you can win a Bricktoberfest grand prize, retail value of $340, with 2 ways to win. 1, follow J.C. Newman on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and post a picture of yourself enjoying a Brickhouse cigar with the hashtag Bricktoberfest 2022. Instagram story and submissions do not count. Number 2, follow J.C. Newman on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and find our weekly Bricktoberfest post and tag 3 friends with who you would enjoy your winning prize. The more ways you enter, the more likely you are to win. Each option gets you an extra entry to be a winner. So check that out, guys. It is Bricktoberfest.
Yep. Get your boot on.
Get your boots. Das Boot. Very exciting stuff. And yeah, Nicole's right. The boots we got last year. I mean, the boot is cool, but the boots this year are nice.
They upped their game.
They did.
It's nice.
They updated their game. It's been an exhausting week. So busy. We have some news we got to get to at some point. We got Alec Bradley's got a new cigar sampler set that's going to come out. I'm going to tell you guys more about that later. We have a guest with us tonight. I'm pretty sure everyone who smokes cigars has not only heard of this guest, but if you hadn't before, you have in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
A lot of news surrounding this guest this week. So, and we'll ask some questions on that. But really the focus, just my disclaimer before we get into the show, is my main focus is to talk about the cigars that he makes. He debuted a new cigar at the trade show this year called the Mas Igneus,
which was amazing.
Fantastic cigar. That cigar is amazing. So much flavor. It was just, I just remember smoking and be like, this is delicious. There's a wine also, the Mas Igneus wine. We're going to talk about that, and we'll let him get into that. But without further ado, we're going to bring him on. It's Mr. Luciano Cigars, formerly of Ace Prime. Luciano, welcome to the Smokin Tobacco Show.
Good evening, gentlemen. Amazing to see you.
It's great to see you.
It feels like yesterday.
I know. Time goes so fast.
Before we know it,
It
TP
does.
will be here.
I know. It's
Yeah.
coming up quick. Well, as we do our cutting and lighting for the show, as our guest, what cigar are you smoking with us tonight?
I'm smoking a cigar that Ernesto Carrillo sent to me. I have no idea what this is,
Ooh,
but
interesting.
this is gonna be my my first cigar of the night. Then I have here the Dreamer.
Ah,
Uh,
nice.
I have a bunch of stuff here. Let's see how it goes, and then I'll decide. You know, I
Absolutely.
haven't. I'm good to smoke cigars right now because I was in an airplane, for a long time, and you know, airports and stuff where you cannot smoke. So I'm having a good time right now.
Yeah, you were itching for a cigar.
I am.
Nicole, you are smoking, perhaps I think one of your favorites from Luciano. That's the Fiat
Yes.
Lux.
This one is amazing
Mhm.
as well.
That actually was the cigar. So after the trade show last year is when we had went around and we had saw. I don't think we got to meet up with you at last year's trade show, but somehow we got the samples. I think when we were at the booth, and we came back from the show. We were just kind of going through everything, and we were smoking through some of the samples. And she was the one who pulled it out, smoked it, and was like, "Did you have the Fiat Lux? That's one of my favorite cigars from the trade show." And I was like, "Wow, really?" And that was like one of the ones she was talking about all after the show last year. And then it was like, hey, we got to get Luciano on the show. We got to get Luciano on the show. Like, his cigars are great. I tried them. They were cool. Very, very good cigar. Then we saw you at TPE, and we got the Dreamers. And I smoked the Dreamer for the first time, and the Dreamer was great. This year at PCA, you come out with the Mas Igneus. So you've been busy. You've had a lot of cigars you've come out with, and you made a lot of good ones, too. And I'm going to smoke the Dreamer with you tonight. I'm going to smoke the Hermoso number 4. If you head to twoguyscigars.com, you can buy this cigar for $12.19. And that is at the number 2, guyscigars.com. So I'm going to light that up, and I'm going to light it up with my Cigar Blondie. I'm going to cut it with my Cigar Blondie cutter and my Cigar Blondie lighter to get this thing going with the signature Blade Flame from Cigar Blondie. Head over to cigarblondie.com to check them out. Available in 3 amazing finishes. So, now that we get this thing going, we got this on the road. Luciano, first things first, I'm going to get this out of the way so that we can really enjoy the rest of the show, okay? That's the best way I'm gonna put it to you, okay? Let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way, and then we can move on because I have some questions about your actual cigars. Obviously, one of the big things in the news recently is your partnership with Crowned Heads is coming to an end November 1st. To me, it was abrupt. I remember seeing the news come across my desk and being like, "Oh wow, that's crazy." It seemed like such a great partnership for you guys. And it was just shocking to see. I know that you guys have both made some statements on each side, but was this really as abrupt as it seemed, or is this something that had been going on for a while? Just kind of like, how long were you in that point of like, you know what, I think we're done?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think we both knew that the day was coming. I think there were some again business just different visions of the business, in some fronts, but we knew that we would have our own distribution, and they knew it as well. Now, when you say like that it was abrupt, I think in a sense you're right. I think it was abrupt just because of some business tensions. But you have to understand that you said something like that this partnership was beneficial for us, right?
Yeah.
I think it was beneficial for us as it was beneficial for them. You know, uh, in a time, and we're talking about during COVID, where most, if not all, the factories that uh, they work with, they were not producing, and they had no products to sell. We're talking about a almost 2-year gap where we kept producing and producing heavy. That we're talking about Juarez, Mil Diaz, the top selling cigars. in a very large quantity.
Right.
So I think it was beneficial for both parts, and I think both parts recognize that.
Yeah, I mean it's I guess John Carney. I assume you know John Carney from La Flor Dominicana.
I
Um,
do. We fish together every year.
oh, nice, nice. Yeah, no. So we and Coop have a show, the Spare Notes series on every other Saturday night, and we were
Mhm.
talking about it. And it's funny. Coop said this too. At one time, Carney had made a comment on the show. Hey, it's part of doing business. With some kind of particular thing we were talking about. But Coop actually was one to say, he's like, it's like Carney says, and this kind of applies. It's a cost of doing business. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes they're ugly. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes things happen last minute. Some things are planned out. But it's at the end of the day, it all boils down. That's part of doing business. Things change. Relationships come and go. Whether for better or worse. And sometimes it's a challenge, and a lot of times the way that you respond to that challenge is kind of what reflects on you the most. And we like I've said before, I wish both sides nothing but the best. Wish you nothing but the best. You've made some other changes since then. You guys have gone from Ace Prime to Luciano Premium Cigars, and you've hired Ed Trevino as your new sales director, which is awesome. And I know Ed is in the comments. He's watching with us tonight. So just a shout out to him. Thanks for being here. I think he commented along that the Fiat Lux is fire, which is true. That's a very true statement. So
Yeah. I just love that man. I think Ed Trevino is one of the greatest Jews of this industry, and I'm honored that he's working with our company. I feel privileged to
yeah,
have
no,
someone like him on board.
yeah, it was great to see. I saw that come across and see you brought him in, and I met him before a few times, and he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. So it was nice to see you bring him in, and it was also just another sign of just building up what you got going on. You have a new sales director, and I did have a question though on the name change. Was the name change already coming, or did that have something to do with the distribution change?
No, the name was already coming.
Okay.
So I think I told the story on the dojo show a couple weeks ago. We did a research. So we have this amazing guy that's been working with us for a long time, Mark Reddy. He's one of the greatest out there on the marketing side. He's the vice president of a very large PR company called Pinkston, and these guys do a lot of marketing research too. They start doing a lot of research on not just digital impressions, but also cigar lounges, cigar stores. So they will go and basically, get a sample of each state to see what people would connect uh, our brands to, what kind of connection they have when they smoke the Fiat Lux, for example. Do they know where it comes from? And we realized that not many people really connected Fiat Lux to Ace Prime. You know,
Hmm.
they would say, "Oh, this is Crown Heads," or "This is Luciano," or "This is from." So the Luciano was always the most on the top uh, list of this uh, connections. I mean, uh, and they basically suggested that we rebrand Ace Prime into Luciano Cigars, and that's how it happened. This was in the plans for a long time, talking about something that we start working on last year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I was curious about that, just obviously, given the timing, but um no, it's nice, and I like the name too. It's your name. You know what I mean? It's the thing about cigars. I mean, really any business. Anytime you have a business, you have your name on it. Like it's more important because it's like it's your name, but at the same time, the cigar industry is one of those businesses where, I mean, it's a lot of family-owned businesses, it's a lot of family names, and Ace Prime was a nice name, but I mean, I think Luciano Cigars definitely has a better ring to it. And it's it's Luciano.
What I can tell you is it's kind of weird. It is weird. Something you have to get accustomed to. Um, when I said in my quote that I was not there for the glory, I meant it because it's hard for me to manage that. Uh, and second because my kids they keep bullying me about it now.
They
So I
bully you
have three
about
daughters.
Yeah.
Yes, they do
it.
all the time.
What did they like? Oh wow, you named the company after yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, they know the story. It's more like they keep making jokes. Like, uh, I love to fish, and then one of them will come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, you should launch Luciano the Fisher, or Luciano the Singer, or Luciano the whatever." So they keep like making jokes about our brands, making jokes about everything, which I like it because it takes me out of that kind of it keeps me it keeps my feet in the ground. Let's put it this way. I have a wonderful family, man. That's one of the things that um, I think this is the first time I say this publicly. But my wife is it's going through a lot. She's treating cancer, and she got a surgery that she did
Really?
uh, few actually last month. And what is very painful is that some of this crazy business disputes happen uh, with people taking the opportunity that I was with her and out of certain circles to act, and that was that was really low, of course, and that was a little discouraging. But at the same time, being with her and the way she's fighting everything and the way she's supporting, helping me, it's just amazing. She even went to Nicaragua because she wanted to rest. We have a house there. She wants to stay there for a little bit, recovering from the surgery. So I had to go to Germany for the Intertabac, and a lot of things happened. She had to hold everything on her own and make decisions. She had like the power of attorney from me and Tiago. She was like, she was doing a lot of stuff, and she just kind of had a surgery like 2 weeks before, and now she's going through another surgery, and now she has radiotherapy coming. She has a lot of challenges, but she's a fighter. Again, I have this amazing family, and my wife is extremely supportive of everything, and I'm supportive of her stuff. She's my hero because she's very much involved into nonprofit. So she actually works for organization that fights human trafficking. And even with all the situation, like she's still working. She's now in Colorado, uh, working, and she has a very tough job. She trains law enforcement to fight human trafficking. So it's a crazy job. So that woman has this amazing strength and courage. So it's funny because she's the one going through all this, but she's the one that is, supporting everything that we do with the rebranding, even the challenge that we're facing. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I think that's what comes to my mind right now. Um, this morning, for the entire morning, I had a synesthesia attack, like really, really hard. And I was talking to her and said, I have this show, I have to do this, I have this meeting, I have this other commitment. And she's always like, "How are you doing?" Sending text messages. What time is the show? I'll be praying for you, or I'm thinking about you. And she's tremendous.
That's, I mean,
I don't even know how I got here, but I just felt like I should share that.
no. I mean, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
First of all, first and foremost, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, with your wife and her cancer. That's obviously a very difficult
Yeah.
thing to go through, and nothing but love and respect to you guys, and thoughts and prayers for you guys. I mean, that's, of course, that's very difficult, and we hope that she pulls through and she fights through this. And you said she's a fighter, which is great. That's one of the best things is she's got some determination. Yeah. But no, thank you for sharing that with us. And no, it's great, and it's nice when you can talk about your family and kind of how they play into what you do. And a lot of times we have people on the show, and that's a huge part of the conversation. It's always them telling us about how their family is involved and how their family supports them, or things that they do with them, or sometimes it's family coming to work in the business too, and that's a whole aspect of it too. So it's nice to hear those stories, and I think other people who listen and watch the show enjoy hearing that too, because it's personal, it's special. So thank you for sharing that with us. That was really nice. I kind of feel the same way about Nicole. She's the one that she's my hero too. She's usually the stronger one out of the two. Not that I'm not strong, but she holds the glue together. You know what I mean? She's the glue for us. But no, I didn't want to spend too much.
This show is becoming very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, let's talk about family. That's awesome. I know. Again, I'm not avoiding the questions, by the way. So there's a question here from Skip asking, where's the beef? What's your next release? I have no problem talking about that. Oh, the beef, I think is something that, again, we have to be careful, right? Because we do have a business dispute or something. And hopefully, this will be gone, in a little bit, in a little while. But I wish we could talk about it. Actually, I'm itching to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we have, unfortunately, we have attorneys and that kind of stuff. It's hard to talk about things without maybe getting to technicalities that you're not supposed to get into. But when it comes to the new releases, which is the nice part I like to talk about, it's being a very creative season. Let's put it this way. I think we have been blending. I have been blending a lot for the past 2 weeks. So it's quite interesting, that there'll be some interesting news coming very soon. What I can guarantee to you, Skip, is that we have a lot of good stuff coming out.
Yeah, you had said that you were on a plane before the show. You told us you were just coming back from Nicaragua, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. Which is, I'm not gonna address issues, but it's funny how people talk shit. Like, I heard so many stories, brother. I heard so many stories, like crazy stories.
About you?
Yeah, about me,
Okay.
about things in Nicaragua. So, which are, but anyways, while people are speculating and thinking, stupid things, I was there, man. Basically blending and making cigars and renewing some contracts for our farms. We doubled the size of our operation in Jalapa for this year because I don't know if many people know this, but I come from the opposite side of the chain. So we start growing tobacco first, then we went to manufacturing, then to blending. So the growing tobacco is a big part of who we are, and what we do. It's a passion of mine too. So we are very much focused on like the new season and to innovate a couple things on the fermentation process, developing new products for this year, for next year. I'm really one of the things I learned too in my family, and I keep kind of alluding to my grandfather, but that was the man who raised me, right? He always said, keep a part of your brain always clear for your creativity. Don't occupy your mind, just trying to solve problems. You have to be disciplined to always, never shut down, your creativity. That part of your brain where you think about new ideas, but you develop new products. So, and I try to really, remember that and practice. So every day, no matter what kind of meetings I have, or if I have a meeting with an attorney, or if I have to kind of deal with something, I'm always at least 50% of my day is creating something. It's putting my hands on something.
Yeah, exercising your brain, thinking, making something, creating something. It's good for the mind, really. And it's funny when we have people on, and it's always interesting to hear like what are they creating? And you hear a lot about, it's not just about what have I created that was successful, right? A lot of times I like to hear the stories about what did I try and it didn't work, right? How many, it's like how many blends, like Steve Saka was on the show last week, and and Steve's one of those people who's notorious for always changing the blends. He's never fully satisfied, right? He's always like, I gotta rework it again. And last week, one of the things he telling us was like how he has so many test blends made at the factories. He's always he orders like 5 times as many test samples than most people, and he's like, because I need to have plenty, and I'm always changing my mind, and I'm always it's interesting when you speak to people like that, like him and like you and people whose mind the mind is always working. It's always thinking. It's always like, what do I change? What do I do? I have a new idea. What do I do with that? And then, I have an idea to change this. And how do you remember it all? That's what I want to know. How do you remember it all? I mean, I'm sure you sit there, you're having a cigar, and you seem like you're relaxed, like even now. But I'm sure in your mind you have like 5 new ideas, and it's like all these things that when you get back down to the factory, like, I got to do this. I want to try this. I want to try this. It's like, how do you even remember all that, all those ideas that you come up with?
Yeah, part of me is very disorganized. Sometimes I just don't remember, and then I have to kind of revisit things. Part of me is very disciplined too. When comes to my condition, I'm very disciplined, because I know if I don't take care of it, it can go south. So what I try to do, brother, is again, if I'm blending something, that I think it's worth of becoming a product, make sure you focus on that, get different versions of it. It's just again, it's part of my day to day. It's again, I just got this text message from Ed. Ed say, "Oh, it's so awesome you focus in the future, but don't keep bringing things from the past and stuff." But I have to address these things, otherwise I'm not being myself. I can say that, and I told you this before the show started.
Yep.
Off record.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say it live now. When you asked me, was there any question you want me to avoid? What was my answer to you?
It was no, not really. And you said I don't really shy away from the questions. And I said, okay. And I said, I just wanted to make sure.
I don't. So I like to respond to everything, and I like to be known by someone who doesn't make shit up, doesn't lie. That's something that I told the dojo, and I'm telling here again, which, if he bites me back in the ass, or you can confront me anytime and say, oh, but you said this, it wasn't like that. And that's why I feel comfortable saying this in a life that will stay here forever, right?
Right.
So I was very sad last week, man. I was really upset. I was upset and sad because I saw a very good friend of mine, of years, which, by the way, he doesn't know anything that's happening. He's just buying a version of what's happening. He doesn't know the real deal. Almost like saying, that I was not the blender behind our products. And I would like to take this opportunity to say this in your show. There's not one single product that came out of my factory, 2 crown heads, that wasn't blended by me, and me only. So with that, we can move on.
You feel like you've gotten it off your chest. You've cleared the air. Like you've let it out.
I got it on my chest. I needed to do that. Because I was a little disappointed to hear what I heard, and again, I'm actually directly speaking to him right now. Say, brother, you know the truth. So.
I have to say, on the personal side, I'm sure anytime anyone goes through something like this, like there's a business part of it, but it's also personal too, for both sides. And so I can imagine the personal emotional, uncomfortability that obviously it must be feeling, and it's not great, and it's stressful, and it's maybe it makes you anxious. I get it, and and I think just for the sake, everyone else who's watching and listening and, who's been following the story. It's like, yeah, look, there's a business aspect of it. Obviously, in the media, it's our job to cover it and ask the questions, like we talked about. But, there's also a personal side for this for you and for them. So, you know, it's difficult. And I think
Well,
to an extent, I think we have to remember that and to respect some of the privacy too.
Yeah. I always try to see things also as an opportunity, So what is exactly, I believe in God, right? It's not a secret. I try to see what is actually that's there for me to learn, or it's there for me to shift, it's there for me to change. I was asked this question many times, like, do you think you made any mistake? Do you think you've done anything? I say, well, any human being who says that he never made a mistake or he's not making a mistake in probably daily, he's lying. There's no such a thing as a perfect human being.
Of course.
I think the only one that's perfect is God, right? So I believe that I've been putting a lot of effort, and do the right thing, and walk the extra mile and make the best decisions. So I can tell you that I am very comfortable with my intentions. Although people say that the hell is full of good intentions, right? But I mean it. I want to do things, right, and I think we are. And I think there's something beautiful that's actually rising from all this. There's something beautiful. I think this company, like never before, have a potential to really send a powerful message to the world, to the cigar consumers. Now we can talk openly about our ethics, our methods, how we see things, how we conceive a product. Before, and this is not a criticism. It's just like it was like that. We never had like a full control of our narrative, like full control of our marketing budget, our marketing decisions. Now we do, and I see this as an amazing opportunity. Although we've been planning this for a long time, I can tell you that some of the situation is contributing for us to really go to the next level and speed up certain things that we are planning to do maybe next year, but now we decided to do it now. When I say, for example, that we have a dream team and we have like Ed Trevino working with us now, this is just a beginning. Ed, of course, we're not disclosing yet, but Ed is already working with some amazing, notable people that are already on board. We just decided not to announce it yet.
Oh, so there's more to come.
And there's way more to come. We have a very strong CFO and COO that's coming to work with us. It's a guy that he is involved in the cigar industry at a certain level, but actually his involvement into the corporate world is much bigger, and he brings a lot of experience. He brings a lot of know-how. He's one of the guys that you read the name in a Forbes or reading in kind of mainstream publications. He's a huge asset for us. So he's the guy leading all this process, and people have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. But there's a whole system that's been created that we believe have never been used before that will come out very soon. So there's a lot of exciting things coming. And of course, we come from this place of the conflict, and the narrative is always around that. But from here, there's so many amazing things happening. And I think the retailers, the cigar consumers, they'll benefit from it in every possible sense.
Well, we're really excited to see how you guys continue to grow and continue building on your new journey, your new path, and being fully vertically integrated and on your own now. And you've already teased that there's more people to come. And I know you won't share that with us, but that's fine. We eagerly await to hear who the rest of the dream team will be. I do want to take a break real quick. We're going to hit our news segment, and then after the news, I got a couple of cigar-related questions in terms of some of the stuff you're working on and some of the tobaccos you're working on and stuff like that. So let's hit that really quick. Our news segment is brought to you once again by Micallef Cigars. If you head over to micallefcigars.com today, you can sign up to become an official Micallef ambassador, where you'll get your ambassador number and coin. And while you're at it, head over to the Micallef Ambassador Facebook group, where you can smoke along, socialize, share photos and videos with your fellow ambassadors of all things Micallef Cigars. This week, we got news from Alec Bradley. Alec Bradley Cigar Co. announces the upcoming release of Reclaimed. The Alec Bradley Cigar Company today announced the pre-sale of its upcoming U.S. exclusive release, Reclaimed, a limited edition 7-pack sampler presented in a real factory-worn cigar mold, emblazoned with the Alec Bradley Reclaimed logo. Only 800 individually numbered, highly collectible Reclaimed sets containing one 6 1/4 by 54 Figurado iteration, each of Black Market, Medalist, I can't even talk today. Prensado, Magic Toast, Max, Gatekeeper, and Tempest will be sold. The sets are scheduled to arrive to Alec Bradley appointed U.S. tobacconists ahead of the holiday season. Now, if you head over to smokintabacco.com, you can read this in our news section. It should be right on the homepage. But
There's a beautiful picture of the box as well.
Oh yeah, it's right there. It is. It's a factory used mold, and it looks like they just cut out a part of the mold to fit the cigars, and they lay in the opposite direction, and then the mold kind of just sits on top and closes, and it's cool. It definitely is going to be collectible. That's going to be one of those things that, years from now you'll be somewhere and you'll be like, hey, did you guys ever see this Alec Bradley thing? And someone will pull this thing out, and you'll be like, oh man, that's awesome. And so that'll be cool. Definitely check that out. But you can read more about it. There's a lot more information on that at smokintabacco.com. Let's head over back to Luciano. I have a couple of questions about some of the stuff he's working on. First of all, Luciano, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, you talk about being down on the farm. You talk about the whole process, right? The growing and how much you like to be involved in that. So most people who don't know, the growing season is about to begin. You don't grow in the summertime. That's really the off season. So going into the growing season, are there any new tobaccos that you're trying to work with this year, going into the growing season that you're going to be planting, and, different varieties that you haven't worked with before that you're looking at exploring this year?
Yeah, we've been discussing. I'm here actually in this beautiful place here, Meirelles Cigars, in Little Havana, Miami, right now. And he was generous enough to allow me to use the Wi-Fi here, stay here at the store. These guys make amazing products out of Meirelles Cigars in Nicaragua too. And the reason I'm mentioning him is because we were just discussing, and he's actually right here with me. We're just discussing about, the farming operation that we have. We're talking about seeds and talking about different strategies for the season. And I was telling him what's going on in Jalapa. Because of the torrential rains that we have this year and last year and the year before with the hurricane, there was a lot of sand that came down the river to the valley, a lot of sand. Some of the rivers had natural dams that were built because of the storms.
Oh, okay.
And there is a lot of farmers who use the water from the river to irrigate the plantation. And with the water, all that sand is going to the fields. So that's changing the soil composition a lot. What we noticed on the fermentation in the past 2 years is that if we ferment for too long all the thin tobacco, which is the volado and the seco, that's you're basically losing a lot of the flavor and a lot of the aroma and the strength. So it's interesting to really observe how those natural changes. You have to adapt. You have to sometimes, have a more dynamic approach in how you, what kind of seeds you use in that soil. How can you actually sometimes recover the soil or working with the different seeds to achieve that same strength or the same flavor that you're looking for in a tobacco. Or if you, sometimes you have to shorten the fermentation period, extend the fermentation period. It's a very dynamic science, and that's one of the things that gets me extremely excited. So we decided I this is an operation that I do on my own. So I decided to work with local farmers there and finance them to produce the tobaccos that we need. And with that business model, we provide the seed, we provide uh, all the uh, all the fertilizers, or everything that's necessary to grow the tobacco. We do in our own way, um, and we are focused right now in really find that sweet spot out where we can get the best out of the jalapa tobacco right now. So being very much focused on that and focus on our farm in Pueblo Nuevo. That I said, we expanding. We are associating with another grower there too, so we can also develop a little synergy where we can provide the seeds that we use, some of the technical knowledge that we have, sharing information, getting information from him as well. Uh, so it is a very exciting time of the year. It's when we start doing the semilleros, where we do the nursery, where we grow the seeds. And in a couple months, we're going to start planting. So Pueblo season starts in December. Then in February, we start with immediately with Jalapa and Esteli.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we're also working with local farmers down in Masatepe. It's a region that not many people talk about. CAO launched a cigar not too long ago using that tobacco. They have a different type of fermentation. They do the stalk cut. They cut the entire stalk and ferment, basically in holes in the ground. So we buy the tobacco, we finish the fermentation for another 6 months, and then we use that tobacco in certain new experiments that we are making right now.
Yeah, and I have to say, one of the things that I'm sure was an experiment at one point in time, which is now out and available, was the Mas Igneus, which is one I definitely wanted to talk about tonight. Before we ran out of time and ended the show. The Mas Igneus came out, or we first saw it at PCA this year, where you were, and Nicole and I have since smoked them, and fantastic cigar. But part of the Mas Igneus too is that also was made in parallel with the Mas Igneus wine, which is a Spanish wine, if I remember correctly, right?
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
what blend of wine? What kind of wine is that?
So it's from a region called Priorat. So Priorat is in probably about hour and a half from Barcelona in the Catalonian side of the country.
Okay.
Um, and it's well known as a being a small region that produces a very unique density of wine. So anything that you grow there, even if you bring grapes, because they brought Cabernet, they brought some other uh, you know varieties of grapes to the region, it behaves completely different than some French soil or some areas of Spain like Ribera del Douro or Rioja Alta, Rioja Baja. So it's a very unique region because the soil is basically made of rocks. So in order for the vine to grow, she needs to put a lot of effort. It takes a long time to start producing the first fruits. It's a very unique soil. There's almost no water, so the yields are very small. But Priorat is now one of the only regions in Spain that has what they call the DOQ, which is the denomination of origin.
Hmm.
It's Ribera Alta, uh, Ribera del Douro, and Priorat. So those are the only three regions. Everything else you drink from Spain is not actually from. It's considered almost like table wine. So, and Priorat, it's probably right now the number one sought after wine in Spain. And it's a little more expensive than some other wines, but it's very, very special. It's very bold. The blends, they use Carnigan, they use Grenache. There's some Merlot as well.
Okay.
We are one of the only vineyards that produce a white wine from red Grenache, uh, which is got very much awarded. It's called La Capeleta, and we have the V as well. We just got the wine enthusiast rating on the M, which is the Mas Igneus cigar. I mean, the same brand that we use for the Mas Igneus cigar. We just got the 93 points from uh, Wine Enthusiast and top 100 of Wine Enthusiast, number 85.
Wow. So that wine is available in the U.S.
It is now. It just arrived at Park Street, which is our importer and distributor out of Florida. That wine will probably start hitting the stores within the next few weeks. I think out of 50 states, it's on 8 or 7. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they are signing agreements with different distributors,
So it'll be rolling out.
And I
I know.
feel like we've had a lot of questions
Yeah.
from people on where they could buy it when it becomes available. So we
Yeah.
would love to know because
Yeah, I think right now the best way, I don't, because every state has different laws about shipping wine, across
Oh, yeah.
states.
Oh yeah,
we're
100%.
in
Uh,
Massachusetts,
like
which
our-
is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I used to live in Illinois, and I always bought wine from wine chambers in New York, and they would ship to Wisconsin, they'll ship to Michigan, but they'll not ship to Illinois. So I had to send the wine over to a friend of mine in Wisconsin and drive and through the border, get the wine and bring it home.
We do that with New Hampshire
Yeah.
because they'll send it to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that if you can buy from Florida, it's already available at Park Street, and I think it's in their website too.
Is it going to be available from like big retailers like Total Wine and places like that at some point? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, Park Street it's a very large. It's one of the largest distributors in the country. So they distribute for ABC, for beanies and stuff. So we assume it will. Some of the wines are in that range of the let's say between $25 to $30. That's
Okay.
kind of the entry line. Um, but most of the wines are over like $50. So this of course it's not a mass offer, So
Right.
I think our clients are more like probably uh, the houses that really care, like rare wines. And I know that I'll give an example in Germany where the product is it's widely distributed. I found our wine into the Movenpick hotels, and several like Michelin star restaurants, and so we have the wine actually placed in very interesting, stores and hotels and restaurants.
Yeah. So it's going to be
So
more.
it's
It's more of a specialty wine, I would say, or a specialty wine retailer.
yeah,
It's not going
it's
to
a
be
good,
like a
it's
yeah.
it's a good wine, like you can buy wine that costs $40,000, which is not the case. What we have here, we have an offer of a very, very good wine that you can buy for $25-$30, and you'll feel like you're drinking wine that you pay a lot of money for.
Now, in
So
terms
it's
of
a,
this,
it's a very decent wine.
and in terms of the cigar, you blended that cigar to go with the wine, if I'm not
And
mistaken.
how did the
Yeah,
idea of
it was
matching the pH? Because isn't that what you did?
yeah,
You created the pH to match the wine.
Good question.
yeah. So it was the first time we did this. It was just an experiment that ended up working. That's what happened. We had the challenge. The amber is not an easy wine to pair with cigars. So my first decision was like, if I can actually match that pH, everything else is going to be easier. Because with wine, what really determines how we perceive the flavor is the level of the acidity. If it's over acidic, usually you won't be able to detect any other flavor because the acidity is taken, or the sharpness is taken away everything. Very similar to cigars too. Like if you blend a cigar just using jalapa, it becomes extremely one-dimensional, and if you add like ometepe and jalapa, it will be so sharp that you're not going to be It's not gonna be so pleasant if you just have those two tobaccos in large quantity together.
Correct.
With the wine, with the cigar, what we did, we tested the pH of the leaves in two ways. One was before the combustion. So we'll get the blend. I'll get a cigar, you know, put all the leaves together, and I'll do a warm brew. I'll make a tea out of that, out of those leaves. And I used neutral pH water to do that, and you see, you know, how the pH will behave, and then we'll get the ashes after the combustion, and we'll test the pH of the ashes as well, because you know one thing is the cigar without the combustion, and then after you know reacts after becomes you know carbon dioxide in the reaction with the oxygen, the pH changes. So what's that pH? You know, what's the pH of that smoke? It's really difficult. I don't believe there's any equipment where you can really test the pH of the smoke. So we have to test the pH of the ashes and have an idea, and by proximity, trying to really reach that same level of pH of the wine, which was a lot of fun because we adapted uh, swimming pool test kits, and you know, it was kind of almost like going back into my high school, you know, lab days. You know, it was it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then after we find that pH, that's when you start playing around with flavors. How can I create a contrast to enhance certain flavors without changing that pH? And then comes by just kind of try and error. You know,
You know, it's funny.
like
We've heard people talking about the pH in cigar. There's a couple of brands out there, and maybe you know some of the people I'm talking about. But there's been a couple people out there who have been talking a lot about like pH and the tobaccos of their cigars and stuff, but they haven't really gotten into what that means. And so it's
hmm
nice. I'm glad you asked that question because it's really nice to hear you actually break it down and talk about it. Because it's a topic that's come up in some circles. Like, why is this guy talking about pH and like, what does that have to do with cigars? And it's interesting. It's
it's
interesting to hear
everything.
you. It's interesting to hear you actually be like, well,
Yeah.
this is how you test it. This is what it is. This is why. So it was really nice to hear that.
You know,
And
everything, every flavor we perceive, you know, the even the water you drink, the juice you drink in the morning, the orange juice you have in the morning. So the pH is one of the factors that determined how the flavors will be perceived. You know, and again, depending on how much you're salivating, depending on the salinity, and that will kind of also determine the pH of your saliva and how you be sensitive to certain flavors.
okay,
You know, so and there's many aspects to it. Like if you notice that when you go to bed, usually you don't feel hungry at night, but you sometimes stay 8 hours without eating anything, but you're sleeping. It's because there is a chemical balance in your happening in your digestive system, your stomach, which is basically reducing all the acidity of your stomach and your saliva to a point where you basically are your palate is extremely sensitive. I know it sounds crazy, but if you want to smoke a very very mild cigar, you understand that cigar. Wake up in the middle of the night and smoke a cigar. The pitch of a saliva will be perfect for you to perceive things that are very kind of subtle. Oh, that's why when you wake up, a lot of people say, "Oh, my cigar in the morning is the has to be a mild cigar, and then I grow, you know, in strength as throughout the day."
yeah,
But actually, before you ingest anything, um, remember that you've been in fasting for 8 hours. So when you stop that fasting, your brain immediately start to produce acidity uh, for you to digest your breakfast, for the first food that you're going to put in your mouth.
hmm
So your brain is producing all the enzymes that you need for that specific process. So if you don't actually drink or eat anything, the theory of the mild cigar in the morning makes sense. But if you had breakfast, actually your saliva is extremely acidic by the time you're eating. So then a strong cigar makes way more sense after breakfast than a mild cigar because now you can actually perceive the flavors a little better. So it's a fun topic, man. That's though this type of thing is something that I'm fascinated by, and I would just kind of talk nonstop about it. You tell me when to stop.
No, no. And it's crazy because my day job is I manage a hair salon, and recently there
Hmm.
was this product that came out, and it essentially there's a special shampoo to pH balance your scalp, and then this product is like a special patented peptide that works to reverse the damage in your hair, and you have to pH
Hmm.
balance your scalp in order for it to be absorbed better. And
That's
pH
right.
is in every environment: taste,
Yeah,
skin, water,
absolutely.
everything.
Yep,
Yeah, so that's why
you're right.
it was interesting to hear you talk about that, I've heard about a lot of pH in wines. It's something I don't hear a lot about in cigars, um, but recently we've heard a little bit of it, and
Wine,
now
even in your water, the bottle
yeah,
you
even the
just had.
water. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the smart water, the 9+ pH.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It has always been there. The thing is, we don't talk about it. And but I have a theory that I have repeated maybe over and over, and people are tired of listening to me talk about this. But I think humanity is craving information. It's craving truth. We're living in times of complete uh, skepticism. People don't believe in anything anymore. They don't believe in religious leaders. They don't believe in cigar companies. They don't believe in anything. You know. So whoever can provide real information, things that you can't deny, it's in front of your eyes and you know it's true. Whoever can do that will succeed in any business these days, because there is this uh, crazy times that we're living right now, where just people don't believe each other anymore. Everybody doubts everybody, and
Nobody has credibility.
um, yeah, nobody even people say they have, but for some reason now we just don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
I'm talking, including myself. We became skeptical, all of us. If you compare how society was, uh, even subtle changes, right? I'm talking about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, my lifetime. I remember listening to adult conversations when I was a kid, and the type of relationships that exist in our society. They're very rare today. Even in our cigar community, there used to be actually probably one of the communities where people still do business with a handshake. You know, now we don't see that anymore. What you see is again, but what's the bright side of it? The bright side of it is that we are all craving for truth, and it's almost like it's bouncing back. Like uh, we don't think about it, but deep inside, it's almost like when I sit with someone that I can trust, you just relax. You're just like, man, this is so good. It's so rare. It's almost like you get a buzz out of it. Like you can actually trust someone. You can look at someone in the eyes and say, man, he thinks this guy is telling me the truth. In fact, I can see it. I can feel it. You know. Why I'm saying this? Because it connects with the pH conversation. The more information we supply to the consumer, the better. There was a time where selling mystery sold a lot of cigars. Oh, just try this. What is in it? No, this is my secret. Don't worry about it. Just smoke it. You like it? You know?
Matt Booth
So
still does that.
that's
A
that
lot of people do.
that that stuff, used to sell a lot, you know. I understand Matt Booth because he's teasing, which is it's part of the game. But at the end, if you want to create really like engaged consumers for the long term, provide information. Tell them the truth. Don't say you're putting a tobacco and change that tobacco or put something else, or teach them how to learn how to identify these flavors. Talk about the pH, talk about the salinity, explain to them why they salivate when they smoke the cigar, and some cigars dry your mouth, and why he's getting chocolate notes out of the tobacco, why he's getting uh, you know sharp notes, or floral, or what's causing that reaction, what's causing that that experience. So when you do that, I think you engage clients for life. And that's been my experience. If people ask me, what's the reason behind the growth of Ace Prime, now Luciano Cigars? It's because I travel this entire country and I visit many stores. I traveled every single one of the sales team. And Ed is watching. He can tell you, uh, what I do in my cigar events. Sometimes I get my own cigars and I break them apart. I'm not afraid of showing what's inside. And I rebuild that same cigar. Sometimes I blend with other cigars to prove a point or to prove, and I don't even talk about my brands. I just talk about tobacco. But they never forget. And they know that if they're getting a product from us, they know it's real. They know we're not making shit up. We're not, we create this hashtag that we say we are cigar makers. I'm sorry, and with all due respect to any brand owner, um, if you don't have a company that you really control in terms of manufacturing, if you don't have, if you're not there all the time visiting the factory, traveling and seeing what people are doing, if there's not that relationship, I don't think you can ever promise your clients what kind of product you're selling.
Right.
And that's why for me, the verticalization of operations is extremely important. Extremely important.
Yeah, we've had other brands on here and other manufacturers who are vertically integrated, and it's those conversations are interesting, because they'll tell you all aspects, because they're involved in every step of the way, and I'm not trying to say, just to be clear, and I'm not taking away from people who are not vertically integrated, but when you are vertically integrated and you are in control of all aspects of it, you have a lot more to it, right? Versus, you just go down and maybe you look at the tobaccos, but you're more into the, you do the blending and the post roll and the testing, and you kind of just take it from there. I mean, when you're involved from the seed to smoke, the whole process all the way, like Steve talked a little bit about this last week, how, he is to an extent involved with the seed and the growing, but it's more so for him in the blending and that part of it, which is where he's at, and but Nick Perdomo is another example. Perdomo is very vertically integrated, and Nick, is involved in every little step of the way. Every seed, he knows every seed he's got, and how he plants it and grows it. Then it comes to harvesting and fermenting, then the blending and the rolling, and then the aging, and it's just every step of the way. You can control the whole process, right? And there is really is a magic, and you always hear people say there's 300 hands that touch that cigar before you pick it up and light it and put it in your mouth, and that's true. There's a lot of steps to it. So, to what you're saying, I think is true, and I think maybe part of it is with the digital technology that people have now. They can go online and they can just look stuff up, and I think that people think that they don't need you to tell them anything because, oh, well, I know everything. I can look it up online. Versus, 30 years ago, you couldn't really do that. It was, you had to go to the store and someone had to tell you, like, hey, don't worry about the blend. And they're never going to find out what it is because they can't go look it up online. They just have to be like, all right, well, he says it's good and he, whatever, and I'll light it up and either I like it or I don't. Now, I think, a lot of the retailers, they come on the show, or we have conversations with, just off the air. It's everyone comes into a store now and they think they know everything. Some of them know some things, some of them don't. But it's that perception of, well, I can go online and educate myself. I don't need you to tell me anything, so I'll figure it out for myself. And I think that maybe that new generation of having instant access to information, I think makes people feel that they can figure things out for themselves. You don't need to tell them anything, so to speak. To kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, you're right. I think there's that factor. I think a lot of people think that they know everything, and there's this whole generation that think that access to information is just available everywhere. But the thing is that the cigar culture built I mean, a cigar, a vertically cigar. I'm talking about. There's this idea that, and again, I'm not deviating the subject. There's a connection I'll make in a little bit. I think the idea that you can be just a brand owner, and you can just make products with any factory. What really matter is your brand. Your brand is strong enough to survive without with any factory can make your product, right? I think that idea worked for many years when again people didn't have access to much information and you just sell mystery. Then it was much easier before. Also, remember that during the cigar boom of the 80s, the 90s, uh, how many brands existed? You know,
Oh, a
you
fraction
could
of what there is
actually,
today. Yeah.
like you could just remember. You can even remember the brands that exist at the top of your head. Right now, I don't even know, man. I went to the trade show this year, and I saw so many brands that I never heard before, and I'm happy because they are, I'm not criticizing people who just own brands. Don't take me wrong, uh, but that aspect of guaranteeing to your consumer what you're really delivering, I think these days are extremely important. Is extremely important. That's why I
Absolutely.
think I'll give you actually a bright and good example of a brand owner who became vertically integrated somehow without necessarily having to be, in a factory operation all the time. A good example is Alec Bradley. Like Alan Rubin, he was so smart because he started partnering with different manufacturers. He started buying tobacco. He started investing, funding uh, some factories, and now he has 100% of control. So he knows that people are delivering, what he wants. So now he can guarantee what's being delivered.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, this industry is very interesting, and I know a lot of people who know how to navigate this really well, So,
Yeah. No, it's a
but
special.
we are,
Yeah.
yeah, but we are excited with with this approach now for the distribution. It is the last step that we need to take.
Yeah, it's that next step that really kind of brings it full circle for you guys, and you have that full control and everything you were talking about. It sets you up to.
It's a new chapter.
It's a new chapter.
Yep.
And it'll be great for you. And I think that you've done a lot of good things already, and it'll just keep on getting better, as they say, right? Um, but we are running out of time here on the show, so I always hate to just end it. It's never fun. We could go on for hours, and we could be like Cigar Coop. We could be on here for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I tease that, but I love Coop. He knows that. I love him. I love him.
Sometimes I enjoy staying for longer. Sometimes it becomes a little difficult, but I'm enjoying the conversation a lot, guys.
Oh yeah,
Thanks a lot for
no,
having me.
yeah, like I said, we've been wanting you to come on the show for a while now, and just been really impressed with a lot of the stuff that you've been doing, and obviously everything that's happened in a few weeks is a hot topic too. But more so just about you and the cigars that you make and the tobaccos you're working with and the changes you are making to continue to grow the company. I think is great, and it'll be exciting to watch the new stuff that you guys have coming, and just where it goes from here. Because, like I said, we're excited and we wish you nothing but the best. It's going to be great. Before we do sign off the show, anything else that you wanted to, any statements or anything you want to add or anything you may want to promote or tease before we sign off? The floor is yours.
No, brother. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I think uh, we are navigating through some turbulent waters, but we are navigating with a hell of a ship, and also to the right direction as well.
Oh, well said.
Yeah, we look at the horizon, and the horizon is beautiful.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we wish you nothing but the best. And you'll be at TPE in 2023.
Yes, so see, that's another thing that we can confirm. Yes, we will.
You'll be at TPE, and then I assume PCA obviously next year too.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to catch up with you at TPE. One thing I will ask you before we go for
Mhm.
TPE, is there anything new we might see from you at TPE? And any new cigars?
A
Any?
lot of things new.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot to look forward to.
So we're
Yeah.
going to your booth first.
Yeah.
I'll,
So we're going
I'll,
to see
I'll,
Luciano.
there we go. I'll tease another thing too. You guys will
Sure.
hear very soon about private labels that we manufacture,
Okay.
and some other brands that we have a very important connection with, coming under the umbrella of Luciano Cigars distribution.
Okay. Okay.
That's good.
We'll look forward to that. I'm curious to see what kind of other stuff you're working on too. That's always exciting. But guys, that's really going to do it for us this week with Luciano. Luciano, thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate the time, and we love the opportunity. Don't forget to go on our YouTube channels and all of the podcast apps or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our episodes as well as the Spare Notes series episodes. And as always, head over to smokintabacco.com to read more news and information from the cigar industry, and you can follow along with all the updates from Luciano and everything he's going to do in the future. They'll be on there as soon as they're available. So thank you guys for listening, and thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with us tonight, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.